This is lesson 1-1, patterns with exponents and powers of 10. Our learning intention is going to be I can write numbers using exponent. So an exponent, for example, let's go and write the number 1000 down. Here's 1000. 1000 is made up of 10 times 10 times 10. Now, the way you can write this as exponent is 10 cubed, or you can say 10 to the third power. And this is called your exponent. And the 10 right here is called your base. So the job of the exponent is to tell the base how many times he needs to multiply by himself. So in this case, the 3 says, hey, 10, you need to have yourself multiplied 3 times. And that's why it's 1000. If I were to do 10 to the 4th power, that 4 is telling the 10 to do it 4 times, so it would be 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. And we know that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's why it matches with exponent. And then the answer is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. It will have 4 zeros, and if you look at the exponent, there's number 4, and that's why you have 4 zeros as well. So that's an easy way to remember how to do that. So let's go and get started with the number 1. Let's go and get started with the first one. For the first one, it says find each product. So we have 7 times 10 to the first power. Then we have 7 times 10 to the second power. And then 7 times 10 to the third power. And then 7 times 10 to the fourth power. On the left side, let's go and get started. We know this is 1, 0, so we know it's going to be 7, and then 1, 0, so it'll be 70. We know that the exponent is a 2, so we know it's going to be 2 zeros, so it'll be 7, and then 2 zeros, which is going to be 700. So this is pretty much, going back in time, this is pretty much 7 times just 110. That's why you got it 70, because the exponent says just make your copy of yourself once, which is just times 10. For the second one, it will be 7 times, it will be 2 copies, so it will be 10 times 10. And we know that 10 times 10 is really 100, so that's why it's 7 times 100, it's 700. For the third one, it's going to be a pattern. We know it's going to be 3, so it will be 1, 2, 3. Or you can say 7,000. That's pretty much saying 7 times 1 copy, 2 copies, 3 copies. Or that would be 7 times 1,000, right? Because 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000. Lastly is 4 copies, so it would be 7, and then you need 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 70,000, and that's the same thing as 7 times 1 copy, 2 copies, 3, and 4, and that's pretty much 7 times 10,000, which is 70,000. Now on the right hand side, it is 9 times 10,000 equals what? And the second one is going to be 4 times 10 to the 5th power. And then the next one is going to be 2 times 10 to the 2nd power. And the last one's 10 to the 2nd power times 6. So let's get started on this. We know that there's 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros, so we put 9 and then we put 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. It is 90,000. For the second one, we know there's going to be 5 zeros because that's 10 to the 5th power. So it'll be 4, and then you put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to be 400,000. The third one is going to be 2 zeros, so it'll be a 2 and then 1, 2. So that's just 200. Because 10 to the power 2 is really 10 times 10. And that's 100. So 2 times 100 is 200. And lastly, it is going to be 2 zeros. So it'll be 6 and then 1, 2. Now, a lot of students would think this is a 2. And then they'll add this extra 0 there. So they'll think it would be 3 zeros. It's just a 2. Whatever the exponent is, that's the number of zeros that there are. Moving along, number 2. It says A store sells AA batteries. There are 10 batteries in a package. How many batteries are in 10 packages? Well, there's 10 packages, and if each package holds 10 batteries, we could do 10 times 10. And we know that's the same thing as 10 to the power of 2, or you could just write 10 and then 2 zeros, which is going to be 100 batteries. Now what happens if there's 100 packages? Well, if there were 100 packages, we would just simply do 100 packages times 10. And that would be the same thing as 10 to the 1, 2, 3. 10 to the third power. The reason why it's 10 to the third power is 100 is pretty much broken down to 10 times 10. So you really think about it, it's going to be 1 copy, 2 copies, 3 copies. And that's why it's 10 to the third. Or you could say 1, 2, 3. There's going to be 1,000 batteries in all. Alright, number 3. Jillian hopes to buy a trailer for about $13,000. Describe all the numbers that, when rounded to the nearest hundred, are 13,000. I'm sorry, I read the wrong one. Number 3, true or false? It says 6 times 10 to the 5th power equals 600,000. Is that true or is that false? Well, let's go and take a look at this. We know there should be 5 zeros, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That looks good, so we know this is going to be a true statement. So just remember that an exponent is the number that hangs out up top. Here is an exponent, and an easy way to do exponents is just remember that this tells this number to make copies of himself. So make 2 copies of yourself. So there's a 10 and there's a 10, and we know that that's going to be 100. And then look, if you really think about it, see this 2? Check out the answer. There's 2 zeros, so it has to match 2 to 2. If I did 10 to the 3rd power, that's going to be the same thing as 1,000, because there's 3 zeros in 1,000, and the exponent is a 3.